This is a presentation of NorthEast Streaming Sports.
Good morning and welcome to Start It Up. I am Jamie Pags, the Philly sports guy, filling in for Keith as the main host. And as always, we have joining us Mac on the other side. How you doing this morning, Mac?
Good, thanks, and I hope everybody else is doing the same. Good morning, everyone.
There we go. There we go. Let's get right into it because there was a full slate of sports yesterday, and we're going to start off. And we're going to start off. Normally, we start off with the Yankees because that's the number one on his list, but it's not the number one on my list. My list starts off with the Philadelphia Phillies, and they had finally found the bats in Arizona. They must have finally showed up. They must not have made it with the flight. Because they put a drubbing onto the Diamondbacks of 18-2. And
Yeah,
all of those 18 runs, not one home run.
yeah,
So,
that's some really good small ball they're playing out there right now, Pags.
well, they needed to because after those first two games, it really was a mess.
Yes.
So, the Houston Astros beat the Texas Rangers 5-3. The Milwaukee Brewers, who are having a little bit of a tough time with things, they wind up actually winning a game, get back on the winning side against the Pirates as they move on. And they're going to be taking on the Diamondbacks, so they're going to be heading over to Arizona now. Hopefully, Arizona can find some of the luck that they had against them and keep them down below the Phillies in the playoffs.
Right. So,
The,
go ahead, Pags.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead, man.
The Padres beat the Giants 5-4. They wind up sweeping the Giants, which was a good. Giants I think they're out of this mix. They are now 7 games below 500. They are actually a half a game up on Arizona for last place in that division. I think you can stick a fork in them. They are done there.
Yeah.
The Baltimore Orioles, who are still in a fight here for a wild card spot, wind up beating the Guardians 4-0. That I expected a little bit more to come from the Guardians here. I thought that the Guardians were going to be uh, really fighting against them here, but actually, I feel like the Guardians of Cleveland are just, they're hot and cold, and that's going to go all the way down to the wire to find out who wins that division.
Yeah. You got the Guardians, Indians, really that they're really not. They're not honed in. I don't know what's wrong with the coaching and the players over there.
Yeah, and I think that they got, like I said, I feel like if they got into the playoffs, that pitching could possibly take over there. That they've got some really strong pitching, and that they could make a wave in the playoffs, but they got to get there first.
Yeah.
So, and losing to the Orioles is not going to be the way to do it.
No, well, the Orioles are scrappy. We've been saying it all year, Pags. That team, you can't count them out. So
Exactly. And a little bit of a rarity, a 13-inning game. Now, this doesn't happen as much now that we have these, man on second base type innings. But the Cardinals beat the Reds 5-3. They maintain, I believe it's a 4-game or 6-game lead on the Brewers for the division in that. So they have first place in the Central.
yeah,
The Tampa Bay Rays. I'm sorry.
And Pujols is still a story, right? He's still trying to get with. He went by A-Rod. He's still trying to catch Bond. So big story there for Pujols.
Yep. Did he get past A-Rod? I thought that he was tied with A-Rod. He didn't hit a home run yesterday.
You're probably right, Pax. You're probably right.
So he's still doing. He actually did hit the game-winning hit, but it was not a home run.
All right.
And the Tampa Bay Rays outlast the Marlins 2-1 in the 10th inning. And the Rays are still fighting here. They've got a 3-game win streak. With the Yankees continuing to lose, they continue to catch up on that race. It's possible. It's possible that the Yankees, with the way that they are playing here, it could possibly lose this lead, which I still think would be monumental.
Yeah, and Tampa Bay, with your amazing minor league system, seems always to find a way to turn it over and still win.
I have to say, I don't understand how they do not just pluck everybody who is one of those scouts from that team. The fact that
Yeah,
they are able to find these players. I don't know if it's coaching in the minor leagues. I don't know if it's just because they are in Florida and they see these kids all the time and they're able to make these minor trades down in like the level one or a plus ball
yeah,
that are allowing them to do some of the things that they're doing. But the fact that they continually have players that they call up and then that perform is amazing.
it is. It really is, and a lot of credit to the scouting department and the young managers at the lower levels.
Exactly, exactly correct. In the game that you had to pay that you know they paid you to go see, the
Yeah,
Washington Nationals beat the Oakland Athletics 5-1. This had a whole Oh, wow, there was actually some people in attendance. 26,000 people in attendance at that game.
not bad.
A lot
Oakland,
of money for that.
in Oakland, Oakland since the '70s, they've had pretty strong teams. So the history's there, and they just got to get people more involved there. So
Well, yeah, but this was in Washington, so and Washington's not really known for having a lot of people show up, but they did last night at 26,000 people. I guess they were giving away something nice
yes,
over at the ballpark.
I agree.
The Chicago Cubs beat the Toronto Blue Jays. Toronto starting to trail off here a little bit. Obviously, they've been going hot and cold. But I think Chicago won this series. That
Yeah,
this was that they took this series 2 out of 3. Uh, Toronto, you know, weren't they your pick, or maybe they were Jack's pick for the World Series? I don't know
no,
that they've got it.
no,
They're not playing very well.
I had Seattle, and Jack had Toronto. So yeah, we had different picks for that.
Well, speaking of Seattle, they win their game against the Tigers, and they uh, are on a 3-game winning streak. Second in the AL. I mean, I don't think they're going to be able to catch Houston, but they are definitely doing the things that they need to win games and take on the Tigers. They beat the Tigers 5-3. That series will end today with the 4th game.
And the
The
Markham,
Dodgers
but
get robbed of a home run, and Brandon Nimmo saves a home run
I saw that.
and allows the Mets to win the game 2-1 against the Dodgers. This was a pitching duel right from out. Jacob DeGrom outlasts Tyler Anderson. They both go 7 innings. Jacob DeGrom only gives up 3 hits on 9 strikeouts, 1 walk. Tyler Anderson goes 7 innings, gives up 8 hits, 2 runs on 3 strikeouts. Edwin Diaz with the save. That was his 29th of the year. But that home run that was, I think, in the 8th inning saves saves the Mets from getting beat by the Dodgers again. So
And no matter what team, right? No matter what team he plays for, it seems that he never gets the run support that he should get when he's pitching at his best. And the Mets, now the Dodgers. I mean, it's I don't know, Max. I don't know.
the thing is that even though you only need to get 2 runs
Yeah,
when you're going up against him, and I'm not, like I said, I believe that the Phillies are going to make a play for him in the offseason.
yeah,
I would not be surprised. I know that Jack seems to think otherwise, that he's not going nowhere, that that the owner of the Mets has got all this money and will just throw it away just to try to win a championship. But I don't think it works that way.
yeah. We'll see what happens. I mean, he's following what the Steinbrenner format, and we'll see. I kind of agree with you there, Bax.
So Kyle Wright wins his major league best 17th win yesterday and helps the Braves get past the Rockies 3-2. The Rockies made a comeback here in the ninth inning, but just fall a little short, and the Braves wind up winning that game 3-2. Uh, 17 wins in Major League Baseball is a lot anymore. Typically, you see very few pitchers get to even 20 wins anymore. It used to be something that happened a lot more common and a lot more frequent. Not anymore, but 17 wins is a lot of wins, and they still got a month to go here. Braves holding on to that number two spot, but the number one wild card and still trailing the Mets, I think, by 3 games. We'll go over the standings here right after the scores.
And you got to think that the pitching in Atlanta has always been awesome, right? They've always had those people that could hit the corners and that. So I mean, they're just following the tradition that's already laid down for them.
Yeah, trust me, I had to deal with the four aces for a long time over there. It just seemed like that they were, with Maddox and Smoltz and Glavin and who was the other guy that always was pitching there? Right? Anyways, that's unimportant because they're not there anymore. But
Yeah,
yeah, the Braves doing it with pitching and a little bit of bats as well.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
The Red Sox beat the Twins 6-5. The Twins, like I said, the reason why to stay in the lead is because they can't seem to beat the teams that they're supposed to beat. The Red Sox being 5 games under 500 and bringing up the rear in the AL East, which is not something that you hear every year. Uh, you know, Hopefully they're able to put it back together again and become relevant. But right now they're playing just about as good as the Yankees are.
yeah, and
So
I told people, they're the lunch pail team. They had the big guns of Fred Lynn and Carl Yastrzemski and Dwight Evans way back in the '70s, and then you move to the 2000s. Then you got Manny Ramirez and all these other great bats. So that team never ceases to amaze me, even though I am a Yankee fan.
well, and now they have Xander Bogarts and some other guy. I don't really know. I don't really pay attention to Boston sports. I'm not a fan of Boston sports at all, along with not being a fan of Yankees
Yeah,
either.
yeah.
And speaking of the Yankees, they lose 3-2 to the Angels on Otani's 30th home run. He becomes the first pitcher ever in Major League Baseball to hit 30 home runs and have 10 wins as a pitcher.
And
They beat the Yankees.
I don't think your smile can get any bigger, Pegs. I mean, come on. The the yeah. I mean, what a player, right? They tried. They even tried to compare him to Ruth, but Ruth didn't. He didn't match. He doesn't match up to Otani like they make it out to be. So
Right. Yeah. When it comes to the pitching part, I mean, Babe Ruth was a pitcher, but he wasn't a great pitcher. So that's kind of the thing. He was out there and he pitched games, but he was more known for his bat.
I agree.
Otani does have all of those tools put
But
together.
but Ruth still holds the record in playoffs for the lowest ERA. So when the games were big, he was bigger.
There you go. There you go. See, you learn something new every day. I didn't realize that he even pitched in the playoffs. I figured he was only hitting and playing center or right field.
Right.
But and in the last game, the Chicago White Sox uh, put the 5-game losing streak on ice and beat the Royals 4-2 here to maintain third in that AL Central. They're 2 games under 500. I think that race is just about done too. That puts them, I believe, 4 games out of the lead and 3 games out of the wild card spot. So I think that may be the end of the White Sox. And keeping on White Sox news, uh, we've been talking about LaRussa and how he may not make it through the year
Yeah.
with, or he may get let go at the end of the year. He takes an indefinite leave due pending some medical results.
Yeah.
So he is no longer going to be with the team for the at least the immediate future, and it's looking like possibly quite to the end of the year. Miguel Cairo will be the acting skipper in his stead. They're saying that he's in good spirits. He's just not going to be able to uh, perform the duties as a manager
Okay.
moving forward. So
Okay.
we wish him, you know, I may not like him, but I wish him all the best. Hopefully, he's able to get better and sit on the sidelines and watch baseball, fairly well.
Yeah.
Uh, in other news, and of course, I wanted to really talk about this one. This was the story that stuck out to me. Angel Hernandez is currently suing Major League Baseball for, uh, they're saying that he is being passed over because he's being discriminated against because of his, because of his Cuban descent. And interestingly enough, it surprises me that he's even going that route because they have tons and tons and tons of information on him showing how he is not a good umpire. That he's been an umpire for a long time. In 2018, they gave him the opportunity to do the NLCS or the ALCS with the possibility of being able to go do the World Series, and he is the only umpire ever in a playoff game to have three calls overturned.
Wow.
And, so obviously this year he had the big incident with Schwarber where Schwarber did his little dance. You do it over here, but you ain't calling anything really a strike. It's just you are horrible and terrible. And I think Major League Baseball now understands as well that they put in a 58-page filing of, hey, you aren't doing your job right, and you aren't a crew chief because you stink. And
Yeah.
that's really what they're saying in nice ways. And of course, he contends that he doesn't stink. And unfortunately, when you stink that bad, you don't smell yourself.
Well, and the umpire, well, at least that umpire, they really believe they're the star of the game, right? They believe that it's not the players, it's not the coaches, it's them, and that everybody's there to watch them. And come on, man.
Well, the Joe, what, not Joe Buck. What's this guy? There's one umpire who really does that, who I feel like is always that guy. Hernandez himself, like I said, I've seen him call. He does not, he's not a good umpire is the problem, and
No,
he's been showing years of bad umpiring. They actually bring up in this that there was a time that he had a call that would have been a game tying home run that he wound up calling a double. He said it did not go over the fence. The camera showed that it did go over the fence. He did not overturn that. He refuses to admit the fact that it was a home run. He blames it all on the equipment, that, oh, well, the equipment wasn't good on that and what have you. Like literally making up stuff as he goes along to try to prove that he's right and everybody else is wrong, instead of just saying, yeah, I'm wrong. The fact that he can't get past it is actually cited in this testimony or in this filing, this 58-page filing. When you have 58 pages against you of bad work,
right,
there's a good chance that you're going to lose this case. And it being a discrimination case, I hope that they call this frivolous, because the one thing I would say about Major League Baseball is that they are not ever really in this type of situation that shows that they are being discriminatory towards
right,
anybody.
right.
Yeah.
The only thing I can think of, Pax, that might differ from what you're saying is Boston, with Ken Griffey Jr. and the other players that would come out there that were black. I mean, they did discriminate against these players for a long time, and they finally. I don't say they woke up because I don't think they did, but I guess they're trying to resolve those issues, and good luck with that. So
Yeah, well, and like I said, it's you know when you're going to claim discriminatory acts, you better have had a really clean sheet.
yeah,
Listen, I'm being discriminated against because they are passing me over for crew chief and things like that. They cite here. I mean, there's a whole lot of sites that they went ahead. They're saying that uh, he's quick to pull the trigger on getting somebody out. That there was a time where his decision making. Here's what it says exactly. Uh, MLB also claimed Torrey observed Hernandez throwing his headset after a video review overturned one of his calls in 2014 and misapplied a substitution rule, leading to a 14-minute delay and a protest during a game between Boston and Tampa Bay on July 24th.
yeah,
Protests are a much bigger deal in baseball than they are anywhere else. You always hear about games going under protest and such like that. When MLB has got to actually rule against an umpire during a protest, it causes a big problem. I remember this because they had to go back and play the game again. Not the
right,
whole game. They had to start right from where that happened.
right,
So it was a very unique type of situation. They had to go, and later, like I said, when the next time they met, they had to play again. They had to finish that game from where it was with a whole new umpire crew. So it was really odd when that stuff happens. And like I said, there are so many different things that uh, it was just a mess. You know what I mean? It's just a
yeah,
mess when it comes to him. And Joe Torre is right when he's saying, "Hey, listen, he doesn't deserve to be a crew chief." When we tried to make him a crew chief, he failed miserably. He's quick to pull the trigger on getting somebody kicked out, which only elevates tensions during games.
right,
So he's not he doesn't have good decision to be able to be a crew chief or to umpire in the playoffs, and they choose not to do that. And you know what? I would agree with them. I would agree with them. I Watching him behind the plate that one game was absolutely ridiculous. It was ridiculous,
yep.
and I feel that that's just a precursor of the way he does things in general.
I agree with you,
So.
Pax.
All right. Like I said, what we talked about a little earlier, Otani is the first guy to hit 30 home runs in a game and get 10 wins. Like I said, not even Babe Ruth was able to do that. And by winning this game, they cap off the worst month that the Yankees have ever had since 1991
Oh,
where they went 10 and 18. Was it 10? Yes, 10 and 18 with a minus 12 run differential in the month of August. That's not a way to go into the playoffs.
Pax, your
So,
smile is just getting bigger and bigger. I swear to God.
hey, I'm a big fan of the Yankees getting beat. So
Yes,
right now the Yankees are 6 games, have a 6 game lead
right.
on the Rays, 8 games on the Blue Jays, and 10 games on the Orioles. The Orioles are the magic number there, 10 games back because they're trying to get into the wild card. And I think that they would get into the wild card. Either the Blue Jays falter tremendously, and that's like I said, they're only 2 games behind the Blue Jays, or the Yankees can have another month like they just did. And if that's the case, I don't expect that the Yankees are going to make the playoffs, but they keep the lead. And right now, like I said, a 6 game lead over Tampa Bay for the division. The Guardians hold a 1.5 game lead over the Twins, 5 games on the White Sox. I think the White Sox are cooked. And the Astros have an 11.5 game lead against the Seattle Mariners. Uh, for that. And in their wild card, like I said, the wild card right now has the Rays as the number 1 spot, a half a game up on the Mariners with the number 2, and the Blue Jays with the number 3. Again, with the Orioles 2 games behind, and the Twins 3 games behind them.
Right.
for the wild card spot.
Okay, Cap.
In the National League, they had the Mets still holding a 3-game lead over the Braves. The Phillies are 10 games behind, so I don't think they have a chance for the division at all. The Cardinals have a 6-game lead over the Brewers for that division, and the Dodgers with a ridiculous 18 and a half game lead over the Padres. I would say that the Dodgers could probably mail in the month of September and still win the division.
Yeah.
Uh, and
I
in
guess.
the wild card for the National League, the Braves are 7 games up in the wild card standing. The Phillies have a half a game lead on the Padres, and the Padres hold 2.5 game lead over top of the Brewers. And that's really it because everybody else has got 10 games or below to catch up to there. So the Brewers are the only one that are in the mix with that. But they are down 2.5 games to the Padres here for that last wild card spot. Do you have any other news regarding Major League Baseball?
No, Pags. I think you covered it all, my friend.
All right. Well, let's take a quick commercial break here, and
Okay.
we'll be back after these messages, and we'll get right to football and all the other fun things that are going on behind us. So just give us a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. I mean, you can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face. Oh, from Brooklyn. Hey, get any?
And we are back with Started Up with Pags and Mac. It's like almost like mac and cheese.
Yes, sir.
All right. So there was some news that happened yesterday. What would you like to talk about? Because I tell you, there was some interesting stuff that happened in tennis. We can talk about football. I'm going to let you go ahead and decide which one you want to talk about first.
Oh, it kills me. Let's start it off with tennis, Pags.
There you go. Well, in tennis, I mean, I was watching this game last night, this match last night, and it was a monster upset yesterday. Serena Williams, recalling some of her, talents of old, upsets the number 2. What is her name? Contavet? I'm probably killing her. I'm killing her name, and she doesn't deserve that because she is the number 2. The 40-year-old Serena Williams with family in the stadium, in the Arthur Ashe Stadium, beats Konkavit 7-6, 2-6, 6-2, and like I said, she for a while there, that 2-6 set, she didn't look really good at all. And then she came out strong in set number 3 and really took over that match. It was, like I said, it was on right before the Phillies game, so we were watching it. And, I love it when, especially in tennis, when I think of old people coming up during one of these tournaments, Andre Agassi is the first one that comes to mind, where
Really?
at 40 years old, he was able to pull on a run and get to the semis, I believe, is where he lost.
Really? Because I go back to Jimmy Connors and John McEnroe and
Jimmy Connors was my favorite. I remember when I was playing tennis back in the day, he was the one that I was going after. Like I was always saying, him and Ivan Lendl, Boris Becker. I mean, that goes way back in the day. But when I think of like guys who were making the run at that late in their career, it is Andre Agassi, where he did have that run for a minute in that one Open, where he wound up getting to the semifinals.
Yeah.
So But big deal. That was a big deal there. Like I said, she was the ranked number two in this tournament here, and Serena knocks her out. So big win for her. I'm sure that there was more things that happened in that whole thing, but that was the one that really stood out the most in tennis. Other winners are. Let me find out where everybody's at here. Uh, my tennis scores aren't as prevalent here normally. The U.S. Open. There we go. Let's see who won. It's not showing me anything. It doesn't give me. It just says that they're in progress. There they are. Here's the scores now. Yeah. People of note that won games. I'm trying to see. Gallon, who is the second-ranked male, he was able to come back. Was down 2-1, was able to come back and beat Thompson 3-2, 6-3, 6-3, 2-6, 3-6, 6-4, 6-3. The fifth seed, Ruud, winds up outlasting Ruthven. I'm going to call him Ruthven. 7-6, 6-4, 6-7, 6-4, 6-4, 6-4. And on the women's side, like I said, beyond the fact that there was, I'm sorry, Medvedev also wins in straight sets 6-2, 7-5, 6-3. And it doesn't really show on the women's side. It just shows me the men's on my score sheet because this app sometimes doesn't want to show me all the regular information there.
And do you remember the match, Pags, when McEnroe and Borg were going at it, and they just threw down their records and started kicking the ball over the net to each other, soccer, showing their soccer skills, and that was unbelievable. I mean, to be able to do that with a tennis ball, so pretty.
When was that?
That was during that match. I mean, they just threw down their rackets and started kicking the ball over the net. Soccer style. So, that was pretty impressive too.
Hey, you know what? These guys are athletes, and who knows? That may have started the whole trend of the hacky sack.
It could be.
The hacky sack was a thing back in the day. I remember it, and there may be some people that still have it out there, but there is foot tennis.
Yes.
That in fact I was watching. I know how much you love talking about soccer. But these, the union have one of these foot tennis tables, and it's kind of played the same exact way as ping pong. You have to play it's got to play teams. You got to have teams of two because it's hard to get on either side of the table when you're trying to kick the ball. So, but
and one day One day we'll get into the frisbee, the frisbee golf thing where they have the net there and they're throwing the frisbee like. I don't know.
See, now you're talking my language. I actually play I play frisbee golf. I have a whole set of clubs that I've had for a long time. Not only that, but now they have ultimate frisbee, which is like frisbee football.
Okay.
So, and I follow. There is professional frisbee football. I follow the Philadelphia Phoenix, who made it to the playoffs for the first time in 9 years. That's So if you want to see one of the alternative faces of the Philly sports guy. Yes, the Philly sports guy does go and support the Philadelphia Phoenix, which are the Hotbirds of the AUDL, the Ultimate Frisbee League.
And I'd expect nothing less from you, Bags. Nothing less.
There you go. Here's got to talk about this real quick. These ladies never get enough play from us here, where they're usually the afterthought and the ones that we talk about for the last few minutes. But the WNBA playoffs are in full swing. And last night, the Chicago Sky beat the Connecticut Sun 85-77 to tie that series at 1. And the Las Vegas Aces outlast the Seattle Storm 78-73. In that match there, I got to get the stats here because we have to go. Sue Bird only gets 6 points in the game, 6 assists, 4 rebounds. Brenna Stewart was the leader for Seattle. She had 32 points with 7 rebounds and 3 assists for the Storm. And the Aces was led by Aja Wilson, who had 33 points and 13 rebounds, uh, along with an assist to lead the Aces back to a tie in the series. In the Connecticut Chicago game, the leading scorers for that was Jonquel Jones, who had 23 points and 7 rebounds, 3 assists for the Sun. And the Chicago Sky were led by Candace Parker. That name sounds very familiar. She's been a great player for a long time. 22 points and 4 rebounds and 4 assists. They will move to Seattle and Connecticut, so they're going to be playing some basketball real close to you, Mac.
Yeah.
Might be something to go check it out
No.
and get up there and give some interviews.
Well, and as they say, two Pags, right? The girls basketball plays better technical basketball than the men, right? They pass the ball when they're supposed to. The give and goes, the screens, everything is very sound. So that's one thing that they do a lot better than the men.
Well, absolutely, absolutely. So I wish them all the best. Like I said, I know that we've been following Sue Bird here on this show specifically on Started Up. She's been doing a lot of good stuff and has been a great player for a long time. I fully expect that now after she retires, she's going to probably remain in the league, whether as a coach or as an executive in the league, which is probably more likely because she's a player that transcends the sport for the women. So I think that she would be better suited to be an executive for the league or somebody who announces the games.
I agree.
But
And there was another team in Connecticut called the Connecticut Blizzard, where Jen Rosati, Rebecca Lobo, all the greats from the past for UConn used to play on my sister used to bring my daughter to see the games. They were packed, as you would imagine, being UConn women basketball. And this league, I think, ran into problems when the new league came up. But other than that, man, God, that was some good basketball they were playing back then.
yeah. Well, no, and I believe that. I mean, it's before the WNBA, there was I'm not going to call it threats, but for that women were going to try to get into the NBA.
Yeah.
And really there was a couple from Philadelphia who I thought could possibly do it, that they were probably strong enough. It was just what are you going to do? You're going to have, obviously they would have only been able to play guard. They would have had to be able to pass the ball, and it would have caused probably some challenging situations in locker room situations.
Yeah.
So that's reason probably that was more likely why that didn't occur.
Well, as you can imagine, two Pags, the UConn men used to scrimmage against the UConn women, and the women just said they were just too strong. It's happened before. So,
well, and I was going to say the UConn women were one of the best for a long time. I mean, it was the coach there, and then Pat Summit, who was I don't remember what she coached. But it was,
I think it was
it
Tennessee.
might have been Tennessee. She was Tennessee against Connecticut all the time. The guy who coached there did an amazing job, and those were the two perennial teams that would meet in the finals for.
Yeah, Chino Oriema. He's kind of unique, right? He's the male coach for the female basketball players, and that's got to be a little bit challenging, to handle that. I would imagine.
Well, and that's why I say that in college it's a little different because you do have young minds and you do get to bring them up. And if you are a coach of his stature, where you had that many wins, you command that type of respect, and I think that helps you when you're dealing with egos. But they're female egos, so the level of issues that come with that are much different than male egos. Like when you were in a male dominated locker room for the NBA. I mean, I got to imagine the egos there in that room are ridiculously crazy.
Sure.
And that's why usually these players are the ones that are running the league. In the NBA, I feel like the men really take over the league, obviously, because of the egos, and the coaches have to just organize how these egos all mend together. It's like putting pieces together of a puzzle, and
There's no doubt.
that's the hard part.
No doubt, Pags. I mean, you look at Brooklyn Nets is probably the main example of that, right? I mean, Steve Nash, I mean, he was incredible guard. I'm trying to remember the teams he played for, but he was an incredible guard. And Durant and Kyrie Irving just don't care. They don't care how great he was. So
Yeah. Well, and you know what? It's again, it's the egos that's I'm getting paid more money and you're not, and
sure,
that's really what it comes down to. And I, hey, I don't ever begrudge anybody for making a lot of money, but I do not believe that these basketball players are worth the 40 and $50 million that they're getting paid. At least that and that. I feel like that if somebody's buying your jersey, you deserve to get a percentage of that and
sure.
things of that nature. So I'm not begrudging these guys to make money, but obviously they can afford to get paid, and you're only worth as much as somebody's going to pay you, and these guys do get paid like that. So,
Yeah, and
but
not only
the
that, Pags,
egos
right?
do go along with
Not
it.
only that, there should be steps, right? There should be titles that are a little bit more important than other ones as you're climbing up that ladder, if you want to call it that, in an organization. So if you're a GM, right, that the respect should be as a GM, and the owner, of course, should have the respect like an owner. And it just seems that the players just don't give a damn. They don't care.
That's exactly correct. And
Yeah,
that's how I feel about it as well.
yeah.
So, all right, let's get to football.
Okay.
There was a trade yesterday. And of course, it always seems that, the moment that I start to give some, like I think that somebody is going to do well and I actually announce it for the Eagles that you get rid of that guy. I gave a vote of confidence for Jalen Rager. I thought that Jalen Rager was going to be a great fifth
Look
receiver
great.
for the
You look
Eagles.
great. You look great in preseason.
Yeah, that's that he really came on strong. He winds up getting traded to the Vikings.
Mm.
The 17th pick and the 18th pick are going to be playing with each other because they have been connected throughout all of time, well, at least all of their pro career. Jalen Rager has been compared to Justin Jefferson, and how Justin Jefferson would have been the better pick at that time, and we chose Jalen Rager. He winds up going to the Vikings. The Eagles are getting a seventh round 2023 pick and a conditional 2024 pick that would be a fourth rounder. It's initially a
Wow.
fourth rounder unless Jalen Rager does not hit any of its quotas. And then at that point, it turns into a fifth. So it could de escalate depending on how Rager plays. But he is going to be with the Minnesota Vikings this season. And that allows them to open up one more spot for the wide receiver, and I'm hoping that they bring up Devin Allen because that speed is just ridiculous that he has on. Just when you watched him in the preseason, you want to see somebody who was able to burn down the sidelines and get to the ball as quickly as possible. Devin Allen is that guy, and he's just otherworldly fast. When you think
Yeah.
about guys who are fast in the NFL, obviously everybody thinks of Tyreek Hill. There's a couple of other guys that really do, really match that speed. Devin Allen is another one of those guys and can also catch the ball. So there was the one play that I saw against Miami. There wasn't many plays against that Miami team in the preseason that were worthy of mention, but on punt returns, there was two in a row that he was just down there, literally faster than everybody else, and actually held the guy up, tried to do a real like a shoot, like a tackle, grabbed his leg, was able to hold him back there enough for help to get there. And I hope that he's the one that gets added into the on this roster here. Now that Rager is gone. But I thought Rager is going to be good, and I think that Rager is still going to be pretty good here moving forward.
And is Kirk Cousins the guy? I would imagine with the Vikings, and then of course you're comparing him to Jalen Hurts, which there's really no comparison. One has a lot more speed than the other, but is he the guy that you want? Throw into these guys when they're open. He's a coach killer. He's just not the type of quarterback that I think can do that for these guys. So, I mean, is that really who you want throwing to these guys' bags?
Well, I don't mind because the Vikings are just one of those teams. We play the Vikings. Actually, we have our home opener on the Vikings on the 18th on a Monday night. And that's where Kirk Cousins really starts to excel. He turns in horrible performances during when he's got the limelight shined on him.
Sure.
And even though he's got Jefferson, I mean, you think about that receiving crew right now. They do have Justin Jefferson, who's listed as one of the best in the league right now. But everybody forgets they got Thielen on there, and Thielen was one of the, he's got those hands that anytime the ball gets thrown his way, he catches that ball.
Yes.
So
he reminds me a lot of Cooper Kupp backs, right? I mean, they're both the same style. They both can get to the ball. They both go over the middle. They both got sneaky speed. So those two, they remind me a lot of each other.
Well, and like I said, so the Vikings could have, and of course, they've also got Dalvin Cook, who is a fantastic running back. So they're good. They've got the weapons up there now, and obviously, they've been unsure whether Cousins has been the guy that can bring them further along here. Minnesota has not won a playoff game since 2017. Obviously, where they lost unceremoniously to the Eagles in the NFC Championship game, as the Eagles were on the way to winning Super Bowl in Minnesota. Thank you very much, guys. And ever since that moment in time, they have not been able to get back there. They're going to try. They're going for it this year. It may be a repeat if everything goes the same way of Minnesota versus the Eagles in the NFC Championship game again this year. Before now, instead of going to Minnesota, they'd be going to Arizona. But we'll see if that really occurs.
Let's not forget about the defenses, right? I mean, you look at Minnesota's defense. The Eagles' defense, I think, is a lot better than the Minnesota Vikings defense. I think that they have more stars, more speed. If it comes down to defense, the Eagles should put it away.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly, especially now that they made that trade with the Saints. The one spot that they were a little bit lax on was safety, and now they've covered that spot with their last trade. I think the Eagles are going to be very formidable. And if I love repeating exactly what Michael Irving said, that he said that the Eagles really are like, and I use the word precipice, but they are about to be a dynasty. If the coach is the right coach, is what he said, the guy that he needs to be, that if that's the case, that the Eagles could be good for a very long time. And I have to agree with them because our offensive line is set up to be great for years to come.
Monsters.
For years to come.
Monsters, bags. Yeah.
Hey, that's how I believe the championships are won. Championships are won 3 yards off the ball. You need a great offense and a great defensive line. And the Eagles right now are stacked on the offensive line better than every other team out there, and in the defensive line. So we've got 10 guys on the offensive line and 9 guys on the defensive line. Obviously, I think that 19 players on your squad of the 53-man roster, and that's not including everybody else who's on the. There's Andrew or Toth, who's is on the PUP list. He's the 11th guy. He's not really even slated to come back until the middle of the season. And they have a couple of guys that are on the practice squad. The depth in that position is amazing for the Eagles. And, I expect good things to come from that.
Well, I'm still gonna have the Twilight Zone for you if you pick something that I find not good picks. So
Well, like I said, I got them going 11-6. I'm sticking with that. I say they can go as good as 13-4, but a lot of bounces got to go their way. I
I
don't
agree.
believe that that's the case. I think 11-6 is good enough to get them definitely the division title, and I think that they're going to make a big splash when it comes to the playoffs and make it to the NFC Championship game.
I,
That's where you may think that the Twilight Zone comes in at, but I'm sticking to it right now.
all right. Okay, Pax.
And speaking of offensive linemen, the Cowboys, who just lost Tyron Smith, have asked Jason Peters to come in and see if it's something. He's 40 years old. He started 15 games with the Bears last season, and he allowed 28 pressures. Obviously, Jason Peters is been 6-time All-Pro. He's you know been Pro Bowl plenty of times. He's a great player. I feel that he is been in the league maybe 3 years too long, and that his play over the last 3 years is starting to take away from his Hall of Fame career. He is definitely a Hall of Famer. Uh, I thought he was a first ballot Hall of Famer, but I feel like the longer he stays in, the harder it's going to be able to take that into consideration. So we'll see if that really holds true. But he's going to be going to the Cowboys to see if he's something that will be a fit for each other. I tell you,
And
I would not be happy to see Jason Peters there in a Cowboys uniform at all. Uh, but where he's at right now, I think that would actually help the Eagles in the grand scheme of things. I
and
just
the
don't think he's
biggest and
gotten
the
as much.
biggest difference between the linemen and say other position players on the outside or what is there's a shorter distance to your opponent, right? You're right in their face, so
Right.
that's the biggest advantage they have.
Well, and the fact that he plays against the Eagles twice a season, that I feel is going to help the Eagles. Obviously, they went up against Brandon Graham would go up against him all the time. Not that Brandon Graham's a young chicken either.
Right.
Obviously, Brandon's in his 30s and Jason Peters is 40 now. I I know that once you have that skill set, Jason Peters is still a big guy, that it's not ridiculous for guys to play in their 40s when they get into this. And I understand that it's just sometimes it's really difficult to hang it up.
Yeah.
Just ask Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Tom Brady just seems like he's always going to still be there. Uh, I wish him all the best, but I'll be honest, I would be almost happy if the Cowboys put him there because that means there's going to be some pressures coming in on him.
Yeah.
That Jason Peters is just not the same. He was the best tackle in the league for a really long time. He's no longer that.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. It's just he still believes that he can be that. And I'm sure he has flashes of that. But when you're 40 years old, it comes a lot harder. But there again, last year he had that tackle for the Rams, 40
Right.
years old,
Right.
and wound up being well, he was the man of the year last year. He wound up winning the man of the year and getting a Super Bowl ring. So you never know. I don't believe Peters will help the Cowboys get a Super Bowl ring because they're going to need a lot more help than that. But they are going to be, I think, more of a run-centric team, the
Right.
Cowboys this year, rather than in previous years where they really depended on Dak Prescott to throw the ball more frequently.
And I know you'll agree with me this, Pags. The Giants are the odds-on favorite to make the Super Bowl this year.
I listen. You know what? And I'm taking all the bets for that. So, and we're giving. I think it was 5,000. Plus 5,000. So for every $100 you want to bet, you're going to win 5,000 for the Giants to just make the Super Bowl, winning.
Right.
And so feel free to just give me all your bets. I will accept them, and we'll make sure to know that the Giants that money is in good hands.
Yes.
Because it's better in my pocket than in yours.
All right. Okay, Pat. Trust issues.
So, Baker Mayfield
Mhm.
says, you know what? I didn't talk about the Browns. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Well,
which I
yeah,
find very interesting that
yeah.
he's.
We were. You know, yeah, he can sell us a bridge in Brooklyn too, and you know, I don't know what the hell he's talking about now. We all saw him, heard him talk about the Browns, how you know the team wasn't behind him, and so yeah, he lost you know the keys to the palace there, you know, to that stadium, and Watson has them now. So yeah, we didn't hear nothing about that. Nothing.
Well, he's saying that he didn't say anything malicious about them, and that's and I agree that he says Mayfield when asked by a reporter because they play Cleveland in game one, and he's
Yeah,
like, yeah, I'm going to f them up,
yeah,
and that's I like I believe that's what he should have said. I mean, you're not going to go crazy on that. You want to make sure that hey, I'm going to beat him. I want to crush him. This is my first game against this team. I'm going to put up 60 points because that's what I
yeah.
want to do. I don't want to take my foot off the gas from the moment that game starts. Now, is he going to be able to really score 60 points? That's a different story. Cleveland does have a pretty good defense. Myles Garrett's going to have a lot to say about that.
Yeah.
In
And,
total.
and
So,
and Pags one of the best running games in the league with Chubbs. I mean, the man is unbelievable how he can just run through tackles and big speed for a big man.
and still, I mean, they were talking about getting rid of Hunt, but Hunt actually stayed there as well. So, I mean, they do have a good 1-2 punch over there in Cleveland with the running game, even though their passing game is probably not going to be as strong until Deshaun Watson gets back. But he's obviously he's not going to be back until week 13 after the bye week in week 11. So, you know, but we'll see. We will see how this all turns out. But he says he did not talk bad about the Browns, that he just wants to beat them up. So,
Right.
and I believe that that's going to be the case as they go back there. The Bills sign a new punter. So obviously, this Razia situation is all long gone and put behind them. They sign the ex Broncos punter Martin. He should be there and take care of business over there. We'll talk about Mims and how he is making some waves with the Jets, saying that he wants to be a starter. Who knows whether he really is a starter or not? And the other news that I was talking about. That Aaron Donald, obviously, I thought should have gotten at least something come out from the NFL about this whole situation.
Yeah.
He's like saying, I don't know what everybody's making a big deal about. It was just a practice, that this was, this things that happen. Truth of the matter is that I have a much stronger stance on this. I feel that he deserves at least a 4 or 6 game suspension with all of the player safety that they put on these guys with these helmets and these, and the CTE to go ahead and start swinging a helmet like that recklessly is really a big deal. And Myles Garrett, I thought he was suspended for 4. He was suspended for 6 games. So they should specifically. But it says here Donald isn't subject to punishment from the NFL because the incident occurred during practice, and teams are responsible for disciplining their own players.
Yeah, but you know
So
the team I think Pags is going to do the same thing. If they don't, I mean, they'll be crucified. They'll be crucified in media if they don't. So I think the team will pretty much go with what the NFL would have put out. So
Well, the NFL is not allowed to really put anything out, so I believe that the Rams are going to do exactly what I say they're going to do. Don't do that. Bad
yes,
boy. That's
yes,
that's their punishment, and that'll be the end of that. And they're going to try to sweep this under the rug. The fact that this statement even came out was a surprise to me.
I
So
agree with that. I agree with that, Pags.
So, anyways, all right, guys. Well, thank you very much. Our hour is up. We made through this pretty quickly. So, we appreciate everybody coming on and watching us. And we'll be back here in just another hour for the Mac and Jack show,
Yes.
where, and I'm going to be a part of that as well. So, we'll see you in just a little bit of time. But thank you for joining us. And everybody, have a great Thursday. Enjoy the day. Have a good one.
Yeah.